Hello everybody and welcome to week 8 of the weekly Rycote. We have 5 days left before the final marking. What do you reckon? Can I do it? Before jumping into anything, I'd just like to mention that the end of year Rycotewood show will be starting in a few weeks' time. I believe it starts on the Monday, which is a private viewing, and will be open for the rest of the week. So if any of you want to come along, see my work, see some other amazing work that will be there, I'll pop a card in the top right corner, which will link to the video I did last year, sort of overviewing the show, showing everyone's work, and yeah, there was some amazing stuff and there's some really cool stuff this year. So public viewing is Tuesday the 20th to Friday the 24th? Yeah, Friday the 24th. Not entirely sure on times yet, but if you happen to be in the Oxford area or you can get into Oxford, I would really recommend going. It's about a 5-minute walk from the train station, or if you could drive in, get a park and ride to the town centre, 5-minute walk from there. Well worth coming along to. But if any of you can make it at all, drop me a message on here or on Facebook or whatever and just let me know you're coming beforehand, because I would love to come along and meet some of you, to be honest. I want to put some faces to some profile names, or is that a way of saying it? I don't know. But yeah, I'd love to meet some of you, so let me know. On to last week. What did I get done? Obviously I was only in for 4 days, but nevertheless I got probably more done this week than I have done at all in the rest of the project. It was absolute balls to the wall, and yeah, I was knackered at the end of it, absolutely shattered. Obviously, only got 5 days left now, so I had to get to a stage where I could absolutely blitz it this week in order to get it done in time for marking. And most of this week was, in essence, prepping before gluing the whole frame together. I had lots of little jobs to do before I could start applying glue to anything. For example, the bench hardware primarily. The thing I did not want to be doing was glue the frame together and then having to manhandle it onto its side in order to route the groove for the bench crafted hardware or start drilling holes into it. It's much easier to do it while the legs are all separate. So that's what I was doing this week. Unfortunately, I didn't forget the camera, I forgot my memory cards for it. So I had to film this on my phone, which was interesting. It films at 60 FPS, whereas the camera films at 24, which is sort of like the standard for film looks, which is what we're all used to. You get a nice motion blur with it. As soon as you start filming with 60 FPS, it's like, oh, what's this? Everything feels a bit weird, like it's too smooth and like fluid-like. So it was quite an interesting effect. What I'm going to do over the summer to make the videography and production value of the videos much better is start doing stuff in slow motion. Realising that my phone filmed in 60 FPS allows me to do this without making the video too choppy and like jittery. So that was quite a good discovery this week, I would say. The bench crafted hardware was actually very easy to install. The instructions make it look like a completely unfathomable task, like there's just page upon page of all these instructions, when in essence all you're really doing is just routing out a groove for the crisscross hardware and making sure the holes are in line with one another. I'm not being vain when I say it, but with someone with a few years experience now, it's actually pretty self-explanatory to get it all installed. Obviously there's a few bits where you have to know which way some of the hardware goes and in what order, but in terms of the actual drilling in the correct place and routing in the correct place, it's easy enough to follow instructions when you install it, so that was quite nice. So this was the result it gave me, and my god, is it smooth. It is just, it's not what you expect. The weird thing is, actually, when you install the crisscross hardware, you don't actually have the bolt running through it, or it's not engaged, sorry, in the nut at the back of the leg. So in essence, it is literally just the crisscross hardware supporting the entire chop against the leg, and it just floats in and out. It's weird because obviously both components being so heavy, you expect it to start sagging, but it like breaks all laws of physics. It's really weird. But then once you get that nut installed on the back of the leg and then engage that thread, Jesus Christ, does it have some grab on it. I accidentally caught like the little fatty bit of my hand at the top of the vise, because obviously I had the leg separate. I was holding my hand on the top of the leg, supporting it backwards, spinning the wheel in, and then it like went in and just pinched me there. And bench crafted hardware, I don't know how they do it, but in the instructions it says that it's engineered to close at the top first, leaving an 1/8 inch gap at the bottom. So I think that's 3.2 millimeters, and it was spot on. Like when I closed that vise up, 3.2 millimeters at the bottom, well, 3 millimeters. I didn't measure that, 0.2 millimeters. Oh, it just grabbed a little bit on my hand and it was just, horrible, horrible. Yeah, that went really successfully. On the other hand, the tail vise, I've just realised I'm bragging about how easy it is to install the leg vise hardware, but then I cocked up the tail vise hardware. Yeah, obviously last week I mentioned that the tail vise hardware had a small issue with the design. So as you can see here, the bar extends into where the leg is due to be joined to the workbench top. As you can see where that mortise is there. Now I think that I can get around this, because what I've done is the bench-crafted instructions are drawn around the assumption that your workbench top is 4 inches thick. My workbench is just under 5. The advantage to this is that in bench-crafted instructions, they advise that you have to recess those bars into the workbench a little bit on the underside. I think it was about 1/4 of an inch. They go 1/4 of an inch into a 4-inch workbench top. Now, because of my workbench being 5 inches, this means, I'm assuming it means that I can route that groove a little bit deeper, which will be able to accommodate the entire bar and actually bring it below the surface or below the underside of the workbench, which means that I don't have to chop a little notch out of the leg. It's just basically going to be recessed below the surface. The leg can then be installed over that, as it would normally. The only issue is here that the leg would cover a countersunk hole where you're meant to put in a screw, but if I just ignore that hole completely and just screw the other 3, that'll be locked in perfectly fine. And then if I do for any reason need to take the bars out, there's not going to be a screw hidden underneath the leg that I can't get access to. I'll just need to take out the other 3, slide the bar out, done. So I'm hoping that, that was just an epiphany I had this weekend. I was like, oh, thank God, I think I'm okay, but I need to go back on Monday and double check that that is actually the case. If not, I've got to do some bodging, as it were. And the final jobs to get done before gluing the side frames together were cut the 45-degree tenons on the front of the legs, which was incredibly fun. That involved angling the bed on the bandsaw to 45 degrees, which is a lot steeper than what you first imagine, and also creatively using the fence to cut the 45 degree on the other side, which is, I don't know if that's what that fence is for. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to use it for, but it worked amazingly, providing you kept watch of where your fingers were, because obviously they're wrapped underneath the timber where you can't see them, so I'd imagine it would be quite easy for you to catch your fingers on the blade if you weren't aware of the fact that your fingers are hidden. But that worked really well and it was actually quite fun. Got a few dodgy looks, but I'm pretty sure that's what the fence is for. I'm sure that is why they angle it at 45 degrees. And the other job to get done was to drill the bolt holes and the clearance holes for the bolts to run through and join the workbench supports to the workbench top. This will all be something that I go into more detail in the tutorial series I start in the coming weeks. In fact, that's actually something I'm going to try and start editing this week and hopefully get posted by next week. So those of you who aren't a fan of this structure where I kind of talk a bit too much, this is where the whole video is just making and it's me talking over it. Those will all be filmed and uploaded very close to one another. I'm not going to stretch it out over a long time because I understand that you've been waiting a while for these videos. So yeah, these are going to be sort of I'll try and aim for every 2 days that I'll upload a new episode. And then at the end, there'll be an overview episode of the entire build. No talking, just nice music in the background. And yeah, we'll just be generally more enjoyable to watch. So that's pretty much it for this week. Before you go, have a look at my eBay page if you live in the UK. I am selling loads of old veneer stock. These are offcuts and stuff, perfect for boxes and marquetry and stuff. A few exotics in there, there's a few burrs, you know, loads of stuff for you to choose from. I am doing free shipping, again, to anyone who lives in the UK. If you win the bid, message me on my Facebook page, Matt Estlea-Furniture. Yeah, Matt Estlea-Furniture. With your eBay username, the part code that I've assigned to the pack of veneer, which is at the end of the description, so there'll be brackets 01 or brackets UB1 or something like that. Message me your eBay username, part code on Facebook, and I will give you free first class shipping that will arrive at your door conveniently 1 or 2 days after the thing has expired. Have a great week, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.